So foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bahashem Rekahak Wadash, and double honor to the elder apostles of the great millstone, and the elder bishops on down that have taught us this truth altogether. And Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Barakatham, to the elect, as well as we believe that we are, and this is your brother, Laban. And, what inspires me to do another commentary on Galations, the 3rd chapter, is doing Romans 9. And I did go into Galatians briefly to make certain points, but I want to reiterate certain points again just by going into this. So without further ado, let's begin. This is Galatians 3 and verse 1. O foolish Galatians, who have bewitched you that you should not obey the truth, before whose eyes Yahushua the Anointed have been evidently set forth, crucified among you. This only would I learn of you: receive ye the Spirit by the works of the law, or by the hearing of faith? Have you suffered so many things in vain? If it be yet in vain, he therefore that ministered to you the Spirit, and worketh miracles among you, doeth he it by the works of the law, or by the hearing of faith? Even as Abraham believed in the Most High, and it was accounted to him for righteousness. Know ye therefore that they which are of the faith, the same are the children of Abraham. And the scripture, foreseeing that the Most High would justify the heathen through faith, preached before the gospel unto Abraham, saying, in thee shall all nations be blessed. So then, they which be of faith are blessed with the faithful Abraham. And that's what it's about. So the Apostle Paul is reiterating to the people of Galatia, which is in Turkey. Now, what I want to say is this, right? Because when I did the commentary for Romans 9, right, I associated the Galatians with the people of Galilee. But Galilee is a place in Israel, in North Israel. Has nothing to do with Galatia. Galatia is in Turkey. All right, just to put out there, man, just in case brothers didn't see that. Gotta correct myself there. So anyway, the Apostle Paul was telling the Galatians that, look, it's about faith. It's not about the works of the law. So he had to remind them as such that this is a thing of faith. It's not a works of the law. It's about faith. And I want to read a couple of things in the book of Hebrews 11. As it reads, let's go up and read what faith is, which is what we read every so often when this topic comes up. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So now let's go down and let's read this. By faith, Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed, and he went out not knowing whither he went. By faith, he sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the highest with him of the same promise. For he looked for a city which have foundations, whose builder and maker is the Most High. So there you go. Which was considered a righteous thing, as I'm going to read now. So where was I, man? I was in verse 7, right? And the scripture, foreseeing that the Most High would justify the heathen, once again, just to, get back on point of where I left off at, through faith, preached before the gospel unto Abraham, saying, in thee shall all nations be blessed. And so then they which be of faithful are blessed with faithful Abraham. For as many as are of the works of the law are under the curse, right? Because we can't keep all of the laws, right? As it is written, for it is written, curses everyone that continueth not in all things, which are written in the book of the law to do them. As well as the Apostle Paul even said, if you break one law, you're guilty of them all. But that no man is justified by the law in the sight of the Most High, it is evident, for the just shall live by faith. Now let's go back to Hebrews the 11th chapter. There's another precept that I want to read to tie that in with is Okay, let me go to, let's go all the way down to, yeah, I think it's, yeah, just bear me for 1 minute. Yeah, verse 6. By, sorry. But without faith, this is the point. But without faith, it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to the Most High must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. So again, this is what was being told to the Galatians. This is what the Lord wants. The Lord wants us to operate through faith. That is the sacrifice that we ought to give, and showing that we mean business towards our Maker. As it is written once again, but that no man is justified by the law in the sight of the Most High, it is evident, for the just shall live by faith. And the law is not of faith, but the man that doeth them shall live in them. The anointed have redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us, for it is written, cursed is everyone that hangeth on a tree. That the blessing of Abraham might come on the Gentiles through Yahushua the anointed, that we might receive the promise of the Spirit through faith. And what are the promises? The promises were towards the Israelites, right? But could also come onto the Gentiles, which are the same people. Now let's look up the word Gentiles real quick. And the word there is ethnos. And I want to just get to the point of a biblical usage I want to read, which is, in the context, a multitude of individuals of the same nature or beginning. The human family, a tribe, nation, people, a group. In the Old Testament, foreign nations not worshiping the true power. Yeah, that's not what it's referring to. So the point is this over here. This is the one which goes with what we're reading here, right? And as well as we can tie this into the human family, because the Gentiles that the Apostle Paul was speaking to in Galatia were in relation to the Jews, which were Israelites that knew they were the Jews, that kept their customs, which were part of that commonwealth that they wouldn't have part of. They're the same people. Yeah, so right, okay. Let me go back to, yeah, verse 14. I don't like when it does that, man. All right, so yeah. That's why they could partake in that promise, because again, they're the same people. They belong to that same lineage. Brethren, I speak after the manner of men, though it be but a man's covenant, yet if it be confirmed. No man disannulleth or addeth thereto. Now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made. He saith, not unto seeds, as of many, but as of one, and to thy seed, which is the anointed. Now, we know Abraham's first son was Ishmael, which he didn't receive the promise. And if I'm correct, he also had the 6 sons with Keturah, if I'm correct. Let me look that up. Right. So I'm right. Abraham had 6 sons with Keturah: Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. So they didn't receive the promise or the covenants. But as of one, to thy seed, which is the anointed, which is Isaac. And this I say, that the covenant that was confirmed before of the Most High and the anointed, the law, which was 430 years after, cannot disannul, that it should make the promise of none effect, which he's referring to Egypt. And the 430 years represents when Joseph came there first, And then the Israelites, the rest of the Israelites came thereafter, which they were there for 400 years. I think Joseph was there for like 30 years, and the Israelites spent there another 400 years. So in combination, we're talking about 430 years in Egypt. Let me see if I'm correct on that too. Just in case. 430 years. Yeah, just bear me for one moment. Just bear me for one moment. Genesis 15. Yeah, he was referring to what is said over here in Genesis 15 and verse 13. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. So yeah, that's what he's referring to, which Moses came on the scene, and after the Israelites came out of Egypt, that's when all of these laws were told to them in the book of Deuteronomy, the 1st chapter, on this side of Jordan. Yeah, there's another point that I'm looking for though, man. There's another point. Joseph. Yes, I was wrong. The Israelites spent the majority of their time in Egypt for 430 years. There's no such thing as, oh, Joseph stayed in there for 30 years and then the Israelites came after 400 years. Yeah, so that's what this is referring to as well. All right. Verse 18, for if the inheritance be of the law, it is no more promise, but the Most High gave it to Abraham by promise. Wherefore the servant of the Lord was added because of the transgressions, till the seed should come to whom the promise was made, and it was ordained by angels in the hand of the mediator. Now a mediator is not a mediator of one, but the Most High is one. Is the law then against the promise of the Most High? God forbid. For if there had been a law given which could have given life, verily, righteousness should have been by the law. Absolutely. But the scripture have concluded all under sin, that the promise by faith of Yahushua the Anointed might be given to them that believe. And Yahushua showed that he was the mediator in the book of John 17. Okay? But before faith came, we were kept under the law, shut up unto the faith, which should after would be revealed. So Yahushua, proving that he was the mediator, I'm going to explain to the best of my ability. There were men that were given to Yahushua from his Father in heaven, and he was pleading, he was begging the Father, pleading their case that they be at one with him as he's at one with his Father. And then by the word as it is written, they would be sanctified by, and then that would basically keep them in conjunction with Yahushua. Okay, so that's how he expressed not the word express. That's how he showed that he was and is our mediator. He's the mediator between the elect of Israel and the Most High. Verse 24. Wherefore the law was our schoolmaster to bring us unto the anointed, that we might be justified by faith. Right. You learn the law, statutes, and commandments. And you get into all of that stuff. But then eventually, what's more effective is by following the ways on how Yahushua conducted himself, which in the same you're going to keep the law anyway. Okay, the law is a schoolmaster, meaning that, matter of fact, let me look up this word so I can make it a little bit more easy on myself. The word schoolmaster, right? Bahi Dagos.
Strong's G 3807. Paidagogas.
Yeah, a tutor, i.e. a guardian and guide of boys among the Greeks and the Romans. The name was applied to trustworthy slaves who were charged with the duty of supervising the life and morals of the boys belonging to the better class. The boys were not allowed so much as to step out of the house without them before arriving at the age of manhood. So there you go. Yeah, so okay, yeah, so this makes it a lot more easier. So the law was there to guide us, just like, for example, your parents are supposed to guide you, and that's what the law was. The law is supposed to teach us what righteousness is and to keep those things, but we couldn't keep those things. Okay, so now we're no longer under the schoolmaster because we've been taught the law, statutes, and commandments, right? But we can't keep the law, statutes, and commandments. So therefore, we have to what? Transition to follow Yahushua. So rather than going by the law, which is of the works thereof, we follow Yahushua. But is it to say that we're giving away the law? No, because Yahushua kept the law. Not one jot, not one tittle shall no wise pass from the law. That's written in the book of Matthew 5 and 17. I've not come to destroy, but to fulfill. So that means we're still under the law, but we're not going by the law itself. Like, we're not going to keep the law for the sake of our salvation. We don't need to compete with one another who keeps the law the most, because the law is not of faith, it's of works. Yahushua, as it is written in the book of Hebrews, the 11th chapter, in verse 6. I'm going to read this again. But without faith, it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to the Most High must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. So that's what's required. What's required is that we please Yahushua by demonstrating faith. Yahushua is not going to be pleased by us doing the work of keeping the law, but faith. Lord willing, you understand. But after that faith is come, we are no longer under a schoolmaster, for ye are all the children of the Most High, by faith in the anointed Yahushua. For as many of you as have been baptized into the anointed have put on the anointed. And the word baptized, which means to be immersed. Now I want to tie that in with the book of Ephesians, the 5th chapter, because the true baptism is when you're washed through the word. And there's another precept too that I can bring out as well. How should a young man cleanse his ways? By taking their heed to the word. Ephesians 5 and let's go to 20. Right, and this is what is said in the book of John 17 as well. Sanctify them through thy truth, thy word is truth, right? But let's read this. Ephesians 5 and verse 26, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word, that he might present it to himself a glorious church, which will becoming, not having spot or wrinkles or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish. So there you go. So that's what the word is going to do. It's going to what? Make us glorious, not having a spot or wrinkle or any such thing. All right. But to be holy. So that's the true baptism into the anointed, is by the word. Have put on the anointed, and there is neither Jew nor Greek. Why? Because they're the same people. The difference is that the Jews were Israelites that knew their customs of being Jews. The Greeks were Hellenized, that having to speak Greek. All right. The Israelites that Greek their tongue, so to speak. As it would tell you in the Bible dictionary, there is neither bond nor free, and there is neither male nor female, for ye are all one in the anointed Yahushai. And if you be the anointeds, then you are ye Abraham's seed, right, and highs according to the promise, because of what? Faith. So that's all I'm going to say with this. I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rekah HaKodash. And double honors to the elder apostles and the elder bishops on down, and to the brethren, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Brakatham, as we ought to believe that we are of the elect, the hopeful elect, which is of the 144,000, and to the 1/3 that follows. Shalom.